Terrace in Epping. My name is Robert Ozzimo. I proudly represent the company of Harcourts, Rata and Co. And I'm joined here today by some of my award-winning colleagues in blue. If you do require their advice, please feel free to approach either Annie, Julian, Andrew, and of course Mr. Leon El-Assaad, who no doubt you've had the great pleasure of meeting throughout the marketing campaign. Buyers, let me share with you the following announcements which are in place to help you bid and buy with absolute confidence here today. The auction will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions that are made available for inspection before the start of the auction. The auction rules prohibit an auctioneer from accepting bids or offers for a property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The vendors have a reserve price as the auctioneer will indicate bidders on request. The law prohibits false bids, prohibits major disruptions by bidders, and prohibits bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and provides for fines for such conduct. The rules permit for vendor bids. The words I'll use during the auction to indicate that I'm making a bid on behalf of the vendor are vendor bid, and by law only I, as the auctioneer, can make a vendor bid. Now, the contract of sale has been on display prior to today's auction. We call for a 10% deposit upon the fall of the hammer and the signing of that contract to take place here today, with the balance to be paid at settlement in a flexible 60 to 90 days time, at which time the vendor will provide the lucky buyer with vacant possession of the property. All in all, quite a straightforward contract. Everything is in here, everything is quite clear. So buyers, is with my highest recommendation what we offer for your consideration and competition here today. What a great opportunity for the first home buyer among us. What a great opportunity for the investor. What a great opportunity for any young family here in Lydgate Terrace, where we've got access to a wonderful array of infrastructure, parkland as close as across the road, easy access to a number of transport routes, not far away at all from shopping, including Pacific Airpin and of course Westfield Plenty Valley close at hand. So it really does tick every single box in terms of location, and being so central, standing here today, you feel like you're a world away from it all. So it really is a unique proposition. Then you look at the property itself, immaculately maintained, immaculately looked after by the current vendor, absolutely nothing to do. You can buy with confidence knowing that you're buying a home that has been well looked after without the thought of having to go in and add your own touches. Everything has been done. 3 courtyards in total, including this wonderful private front garden, and then of course 2 courtyards in the back and an undercover entertaining area, perfect for entertaining, relaxing. So a great opportunity here again for the first home buyer, a great opportunity for the investor, an opportunity for you buyers today to bid, to buy, to get the sold sticker up on this board. If that is your goal, right now is your opportunity to reserve that right. Where can I see a fair and reasonable starting bid for number 19 Lydgate? I don't mind the call. I'm in your hands. Start me where you like. Who'd like to start us off, buyers? We did keep you waiting a little bit before we kicked off proceedings here today, so it's only fair that you keep me waiting a little bit now. But you do have the opportunity to start from a position of strength. You've got the opportunity to show the potential competitors that the home does belong to you, and to put yourself in the box seat right here, right now. I don't mind the call. As I said, I'm in your hands, buyers. Who'd like to start us off? At 450,000, fair enough at 450 now, a bit light on, but I'll go with you at 450,000. Welcome and best of luck here today. At 450,000, fairly been offered bids there. The competition is there, the opportunity with every other buyer here today. At 450 the bid. At 450,000 now, fairly been offered at 450. At 450,000. At 450,000, bid there again, opportunity with you all at 450 now for the first call. At 450,000, are we done? At 450,000, second call at 450 the bid. What was that? 70. At 70. Do you mind if I go with the 20 instead? At 470,000, 90 if you like. At 70 I have, a 90 can I say, or 500's even better. At 470,000 the bid's here now at 470. At 470 the bid, one bid not going to cut it here today at 470,000. At 470,000, 90 the call over there, Annie. At 470,000. At 90 now, got it. 490,000, make it 510 in the rise. At 490 the bid. At 490,000, fairly been offered. Bids back here again at 490. At 490,000, fairly been offered. One bid, not enough here either. At 490 the bid. At 490,000, fairly been offered now at 490. For the first call, at 490,000, are we done? At 510, welcome back at 510. At 510, you've got to be a little bit quicker. I'll give you the opportunity now if you want to come in on top at 510, the bid's there. At 510,000, bid there against your bid, ma'am, at 510. At 510,000, fairly been offered. At 510, the bid. At 510,000, bids there across the road. Opportunity with everyone here today. At 510,000, first call at 510. At 510,000, second call at 510.30, can I say? I'll take 10. I was asking for 20, but I'll take 10. Make it 20 in the rise. Can I say 520? Get you involved. At 510,000, I'll circle back to you at 10 now. At 510,000, the bid. At 510,000, same courtesy at 10 if you like. At 510,000, fairly been offered now once. At 510, are we done? At 510,000 for the second call at 510. Are we done? 20 now, and welcome back at 20 at 520. At 520,000, and the same courtesy at 10 if you like at 20, and make it 30 now. At 520,000. At 520,000, fairly been offered now at 520 the bid. At 520,000, bids at 20. At 520,000, 30 can I say now? At 520 I have. At 520 the bid. At 520,000, once at 520, all done. At 520,000, second call at 520 the bid. Welcome back at 30 now at 530. At 530,000. At 530,000, bid back there now at 30, 40 can I say? 40. At 40 now. At 540, the quick retort. Nice confident bidding shows value. At 940 now. At 940,000, fairly been offered 940. At 940,000, consider the space, consider the location. At 40 I have. At 940,000, fairly been offered. Make it 50 in the rise. At 940 now once. At 940,000, all done. At 940,000, twice at 940 the bid. I'm saying 940, aren't I? Did I tell you you're buying two houses today? At 540, at 550 now, at 550,000, at 550,000, at 550,000, the bid's there at 50, at 550.
Are you taking five?
I'll take the 5 and 55 at 555 now, 555 at 555, at 555,000, fairly been offered now at 555 the bid, at 555,000, the bid's back there at 555, at $555,000 the bid, same courtesy at 5 in the rise if you like, at 555 and make it 60, I'll take the 5 now if it helps you get involved, at 555,000 now, first call at 555, done, 555 for the second call at 555, done and finished, third, at 60 now, and welcome back at 560, at 560,000, at 560,000, 65 now at 565, at 565,000 and 70 it's got to be, at 565, at 565,000, how about give me one of those big bids at 10, at 565 the bid's there, at $565,000 the bid, first call at 65 and 70 now, at 570, at 570 the bid, at 575 got now at 575, at 575,000, bid back there at 75. At 575,000, fairly been offered now. First call at 75. At 575,000, second call at 575. At 575, the bid for the third and final call at 507, at 580 now, at $580,000 a bid. At 580,000, ma'am, this is the time to dig deep. At 585, at 585 now, at 585,000, and we're back there. And I will say that we are on the market and selling here today at 585,000. The bid's there, the keys are there. Make absolutely no mistake about it. We're on the market. We sell here today. 585, fairly been offered now. At 2.5, at 587.5. At 90 now, at 590,000. At 590,000, might be a race to 6. At 590,000, fairly been offered now at 590 the bid. Are we done over there, Annie? At 590,000, thank you for your interest here today at 90. At 590 the bid there, keys are there. We're on the market, we sell. If you're waiting for me to go inside and seek instructions, I'm not doing that here today. We're on the market and selling now at 590,000. My instructions have been sought, they have been given, they are to sell. At 90, the bid's there. At 590,000, if you've come to buy, you must bid me now or forever hold your peace. At 590,000, if there's no further advance, we'll sell at that. We play for keeps here at 90, at $590,000 the bid. For the first call at 590, are we done? Second call at 2.5 at 590, 2.5. At 592.5 and the bid's back there. Almost had it at 92.5, at 95, at 595, at 595,000. 600 might be the mental barrier for the competition. If that's true, you'd want to be the one to bid 6. At 595 and the bid's there, 595,000. At 595,000, fairly been offered at 595. At 600,000, even money at that at 600. Now don't let it scare you off, it's just a round number. At $600,000. At $600,000, fairly been offered now. 600,000, the bid over there against your bid at 6. At 600,000, still a discount from 955. At 600,000, fairly been offered. Bid there against your bid at 6. You can at 601, and it'll get you back in and put the keys in your pocket for now. At 601,000. At 601,000, bid back there. Keys are there now. At 601,000, perhaps may take me to 605. At 601, the bid. At 601,000, fairly been offered now at 601. Once. There's no further advance, we'll sell at that at 602,500. We are selling here today, we play for keeps. 1,000 at 603.5. At 603.5 now. At 603,500. At 603,500. Fairly been offered over there. Can I say 605 in the rise? At 603.5. At 603,500. Another 500. At 604, at 604 the bid now, at 604, at 604,000, at 605, and we got there in the end at 605, at 605 the bid, at 605,000. At 606, at 606,000, at 606,000, bid back behind, keys are there, opportunity here, at 606,000, now it's time to dig deep if you come to buy, at $606,000 the bid, for the first call, at 606 all done, twice, at 606,000 done, finished, at 7 now, at 607,000, 8, at 608, the quick retort there at 608, at 608,000, at 610 now and even better, at $610,000 the bid now, at 610 the bid, 11, at 611, at 611,000 now, at 611 the bid behind, the keys behind, the opportunity in front here at 611,000, at 611,000 fairly been offered now, 611 the bid, for the first call at 611,000, are we done? Twice. At 611, at 615, at 615,000, a great bid. At 615.5, at 615.5, at 615,500, fairly been offered now. At 615.5, and the bid's there at 615.5 now. At 615,500, at $615,000 500 for the first call. At 615.5, done. Twice. At 615.5. At 16 now. Got them down to $500 bids now at 616. At 616. Best response to a small bid's a big one at 616.5. At 616,500 now. At 616.5. At 616.5 now. Fairly been offered. At 616,500. Bids there. Keys are there. On your word, I'll sell. At 616.5. First call at 616.5. All done. Twice. At 616.5, all done, all finished. Third, final call at 616,500, the bid done, finished, silent out at 616.5, definitely done over there, thank you once more, at 616,500, bids there, keys are there, we're selling. How about one last roll of the dice, give me 20 in the rise. I'll give you a moment to think about it. Make the right decision for yourself and your family here today. I will say walk away with the knowledge that you've given the absolute best, or walk away with the keys. Just don't walk away with any regret. At 616,500, bid there. Keys there. Once at 616.5. Twice at 616.5. Third, final call, 616,500, done. At 20 now, at 620,000, at 620,000, fairly been offered now at 620. It was a laboured bid at 620,000. You have to test their resolve now, surely. At 620,000, and the bid's back there now at 620. At 620,000, at 20 on the 6. At 620,000, fairly been offered now at 620 now. Once at 620,000, all done. Twice at 620,000. Are we done? Finished? Third. Final call, 620 the bid, all done, all finished, silent out. I'll give you the same advice. Walk away knowing you gave it your best, or walk away with the keys. Just don't walk away with regret. If there's any doubt in your mind, now is the time to let me know. At 620,000, if you are out, let me know and I'll sell at that.
500.
At 500, at 620 and a half. At 620,500. At 620,500 now. Point to the end of the auction at 620 and a half. This is where you got to dig deep if you want to buy. At 620,500, bid there, 620,500. At 620,000, fairly been offered now for the first call at 620 and a half, all done. Second call at 620 and a half, are we done? Finished. Third, final call at 620 and a half, all done, all finished. Silent out at 620 and a half. Are we definitely done? It's a very quiet street. I've done a whole auction in the middle of the road. I haven't had to move once. Absolutely sure? Definitely done. I'll have your absolute best here today. Thank you very much for your spirited bidding here today. I hope we enjoy success next time we meet at 620,500. Bids here, keys are here. We sell once at 620 and a half, all done. Twice at 620 and a half, done, finished. If that's a bid forthcoming, I need to know. Third, final call, 620,500, all done, all finished. Silent out at 620 and a half, definitely done there. Thank you again. We're selling, 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 sold. Congratulations and well bid. Please join us in congratulating our purchasers and our vendors here today. You've just witnessed